Welcome back to Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. With Pakistan almost out of the World Cup, a lot of Indian fans will be happy regardless of India's situation. Now, to know what happened in Pakistan's game against England is exactly why you're here every day at 8 a.m. So if you haven't subscribed to us, hit that subscribe button and get us to 200 subscribers. So yeah, let's get into it.
Megha has disappeared.
I am back. So we'd get to the Pakistan story shortly from now, but let's get started with another important story, and that's Rinku returns home due to family emergency in doubt for Zimbabwe match. India batter Rinku Singh has flown home owing to a family emergency and is in doubt for the next clash against Zimbabwe on February 26th in Chennai. Rinku was not present at India's training session at the MH Dambram Stadium, while the rest of his teammates were present at the nets on Tuesday evening. Rinku has had a lean tournament so far after scores of 6-1, 11 unbeaten, and 6 in the group stage matches. He got out for a duck in India's 76-run defeat against South Africa in Ahmedabad. If Rinku is unavailable for the match against Zimbabwe, India's options on the bench are Sanju Samson and Akshar Patel. If India bring in Samson, it will lead to a shuffle in the batting order. And if they pick Akshar, he can slot in at number 8 where Rinku batted against South Africa.
Now, this is a very interesting development and also at a very interesting time in the tournament. If there is a situation where Rinku Singh is actually unavailable for that Zimbabwe game, it opens up a lot of different permutations and combinations because the discussion has lately been about our top three. We have three left-handers. Do we suddenly want to change that batting order? Is something that the team management, I'm sure, is already thinking about. I don't know what messaging that sends across, but the fact that now they have Samson and Akshar because of that one slot, what are they going to do? Do they bring in Samson somewhere in that top three? And then do they also want to replace Washi with Akshar, or what exactly is the procedure there? Or they realize that, okay, hey, maybe we want to get in Kuldeep at this point because they've stopped trusting Varun Chakravarti. With this management, you can never know. I'm sure that's not going to happen. But it is something that is interesting to think about.
Yeah, I will be shocked if Akshar doesn't come back. And I mean, the fact that he's a vice captain in the World Cup, in the T20 squad for the World Cup, yet he was dropped, which didn't make sense to begin with. I hope that he's back, not just for his sake, but for just the team's sake. We were talking about this yesterday, how from 2025 until leading up to the World Cup, he's in the top 4 wicket takers for the Indian team, and amongst the top 4 wicket takers, which includes Jasprit Bumrah, Kuldeep Yadav, and Varun Chakravarti, he has the best economy rate, Akshar Patel. And if you look at his numbers against left and right handers, they hardly make any difference. In fact, since 2025, his numbers against left handers in terms of just averages are better against left handers, being a left arm spinner, and his career T20 average against left and right hand batters, both he averages 16 against both. So it makes no difference to him who he's bowling against. So it doesn't make sense to me why he was dropped against South Africa, having Keshav Maharaj bowl against some 300 left-hand batters that India has. It made no sense for Akshar Patel to get dropped to begin with, which is also why I hope he is back into the squad.
Plus, the other thing you can think about is because the game is happening at PAK in Chennai. Traditionally, although it is a spinning wicket, this time around in the tournament, it has aided pace to an extent. And Rinku is someone who in the death overs can hit pace. So that's something to think about.
And there's so much conversation around off spinners troubling India. Akshar has been good against both types of finger spinners. He's built his reputation as a spin basher. Moving on to the next story, which is on Australia 1-up. Mooney Healy secure comprehensive victory after Australia bowlers impress. Skipper Alyssa Healy kickstarted a farewell tour with a half-century in the ODI opener against world champions India to spearhead Australia's dominant chase in seam-friendly conditions at the Allen Border Field. The comprehensive victory drew Australia level in the multi-format series and was a much-needed confidence booster for them. They had been trailing 4-2 on points after a 2-1 defeat in the T20I leg. But Healy's return proved vital with her composure in the field and at the crease, helping Australia start the ODI leg on a winning note.
I'll tell you what, if you guys watched the match, it almost seemed like this was a World Cup final because every wicket that was taken by the Australian bowlers was just celebrated so hard, and there was just something different about the squad after the T20 series. Maybe it's the fact that Alyssa Healy's back and she's playing and she's part of the squad. But there was just something so fiery about this Australia squad. But more than all of this, when you look at the Indian batters, all right, so for starters, the Indian bowlers couldn't really do much because of the target that was set by the Indian batters. And then when you talk about the Indian batters, it's the fact that it almost seemed like they were playing in Australia for the very first time. It almost seemed like there was no T20 series that happened before this. The pitch had pace and bounce. It was a good pitch to bat on. It was a good pitch for the bowlers as well. But the Indian batters were almost very late every time towards the ball. And I've said this before, as much as Smriti Mandhana might have been the highest scorer in the squad, by scoring 58 runs, she threw her wicket away. It almost seemed like she wanted to throw a wicket away every single ball that she faced. At one point, the Australian fielders had 4 slips, if I'm not wrong, 4 slips and a gully. And Smriti Mandhana chased one and almost gave a catch to those slip fielders. And this wasn't just once, it was multiple times. And the fact that she was settled in with Harmanpreet Kaur, India needed to get a big target. It was quite obvious that the pitch was very good. It was a very good pitch to bat on. But Smriti Mandhana again threw a wicket away, and then Harmanpreet Kaur had to do a lot of the work by herself. Richa Ghosh did score a couple of runs, but it wasn't. It was if everyone knew by the end of first innings that Australia will just sail through. There was no demons in the pitch, and the Indian batters just kept throwing the wicket away, except for Pratika Rawal, who got out in the first over. It was good to see her return, but an in-swinging delivery got her out. LBW, a very good delivery, and Jemima Rodriguez, we are also biased towards her, but even that was a very good delivery after the first ball, after she swept Ashley Gardner. Her return in the second delivery to get Jemmy out was a beautiful delivery. But apart from those 2 balls, every Indian batter just threw the wicket away, which was just very disappointing.
I mean, there's 20 seconds out. If I was to look at some positives that we can think about, one of the biggest discussions was before this match was whether we are going to see Pratika come in for Shefali, or are they both going to play? Clearly, the lineup is thinking along the lines of having them both, and Hurley does go out. So that is something to keep in mind. But apart from that, Kashvi Gautam, we have past time, but Kashvi Gautam's 43 is very important because she's a pacer and she can show that she can bat, and that's something that will be important for India.
And Sri Charini. Just putting it out.
All right, then, Vignesh, be ready. You can take out a lot of screenshots as I read out the next story, and you'd get a lot of meme templates, courtesy the boys. Jammu and Kashmir starts strong. Pundir's 117 unbeaten, Hassan 88 put Jammu and Kashmir in commanding position. The build-up to the Ranji Trophy 25-26 final was about the battle between Jammu and Kashmir's on-song bowlers and Karnataka's in-form batters. But by the stumps on day 1 in Hubballi, it had turned upside down. Jammu and Kashmir's Shubham Pundir's unbeaten 117, Yaveer Hassan's 88 and Abdul Samad's 52 unbeaten had put the visitors in command against the highly rated Prasiddh Krishna, Shreyas Gopal and Vijay Kumar Veshak among others. Jammu and Kashmir won the toss and opted to bat on a dry pitch that was expected to crumble as the game progressed and finished day 1 on a solid 284 for 2. Opening batter Pundir hit his second 100 of the season. Yaveer got his maiden first-class half-century and Samad batted at a brisk pace. But it wasn't all that easy for Jammu and Kashmir. Vidyadhar Patil, Veshak and Prasiddh tested their top order with a new ball. The trio extracted plenty of swing and seam movement as well as bounce to beat the bat on multiple occasions. Jammu and Kashmir managed just 25 runs in the first 14 overs, during which they lost Kamran Iqbal, who was brought in for Shubham Khajuria. Iqbal's wicket brought about Yaveer and Pundir together at 18 for 1, and they went on to add 139 for the second wicket.
Awesome. Now, I mean, fair, because we are Karnataka supporters. If anything, it was a very good day for Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm saying this also not only because of the fact that they scored what they did eventually, 284 for 2 at the end of day's play is something that you can write home about. But just the fact that coming into this game, Shubham Khajuria was injured. Now, he's been a prolific opener for them this season. And so for the replacement opener to come in, have very minimal experience. He's not played much in this season. In fact, I think this is his first game of the season. He's gone on and scored his maiden first class almost century. He got out on 88, unlucky there. But it's good because if you looked at the innings at all, Karnataka, it wasn't like they weren't they were bowling bad or anything of that sort. In fact, if you see the first 14 overs gave away just 25 runs, but Karnataka will rue their missed opportunities because there was a missed stumping, there was a catch that was regulation and it was dropped. And it's not like they didn't have plans in place, because even to Paras Dogra, they were bowling short, they were getting him cramped up for room and all of that. Eventually, Dogra also had to retire hurt because he got hit on the gloves multiple times. And so, if you look at it from a psychological standpoint, Karnataka were doing everything they could to mentally disintegrate Jammu and Kashmir. But I think hats off to the way the batters have batted, and it makes for some really interesting viewing, because a lot of us leading up to this thought that okay, maybe it's going to be a one-sided fixture, and it was about Jammu Kashmir's bowlers versus Karnataka's batters. But the opposite has happened, and Jammu Kashmir's batters have come out on top. From here, they should look to get to 500, which would put them in a brilliant position.
Yeah, that is true. We talked about this yesterday, how it's 1 week link of one team versus the other, and this would be Jammu and Kashmir 1 up after day 1 because of how they've batted.
All right, then. So finally, the story the boys got up to discuss about. Brook's blazing 100 powers England into semis. Harry Brook produced a sensational unbeaten 100 of just 51 balls to steer England to a dramatic 2-wicket victory over Pakistan in the T20 World Cup Super 8 clash, sealing a semi-finals berth in style. Chasing 165, England rode on Brook's fearless stroke play under pressure as he anchored the innings and finished the job despite regular setbacks. Shaheen Afridi's 4-wicket haul kept Pakistan in the hunt, but England held their nerves to become the first team through to the last 4. Earlier, Sahibzada Farhan's fluent 63 laid the foundation for Pakistan's 164 for 9, with Babar Azam and Fakhar Zaman contributing 25 runs apiece. England's bowlers shared the workload effectively, with Liam Dawson claiming 3 wickets, while Jofra Archer and Jamie Overton picking up 2 wickets each to restrict Pakistan to a competitive but ultimately insufficient total.
If you guys were here yesterday, we spoke about how Mike Hesson was I think Faf Duplessis was talking about how Babar Azam can be used in this lineup even if he's not that good of a T20 batter or doesn't strike big. Yesterday's game should tell you how Babar Azam shouldn't be anywhere around a T20 squad. And if anything, if he is part of the T20 squad, the amount of drag that he brings into a T20 batting lineup is insane. Now, if you know what drag is, if you watch Formula One, you would get that reference. But yeah, it was... Farhan has been by far one of the best batters for Pakistan, and then you have Babar Azam coming in who takes away everything that the other batter does. He honestly shouldn't be part of the T20 squad. We saw that in the BBL. We've seen that in the last couple of years. The fact that he's part of the T20 World Cup squad this time around just says something about how stubborn Pakistan cricket have been. But talking about the chase, England at one point were 30 odd for 3, and a lot of people thought that this might be a game where Pakistan might just do it, might just win. But Harry Brook, the captain, a lot has been talked about him. He is one of the best batters out there in the white ball and the red ball setup. If you were to talk about the Fab Four, a lot of people bring Harry Brook into that conversation. And the fact that he scored 100 in the T20 format as the captain, stepping it up, is insanity. If you look at his range of shots, he can play all around the park. He can bat in all gears that he possibly could. And the fact that in the last couple of overs, England made it interesting. In the 19th over, they lost 2 wickets. With 5 needed in the last 2 overs, they lost 2 wickets. There was a bit of a drama. And I think in the last over, the last over was just a boundary. And Jofra Archer did that. But yeah, in the last 2 overs, there was a bit of a drama, a bit of chance maybe for Pakistan. But yeah, Pakistan with their first game washed out and the second game lost. They're probably out of the World Cup.
I mean, yeah, there's not much more to add except that from Brook, I think this was the best century of the World Cup. It was a chanceless innings. There was no drop. There was nothing of that sort. Right from the get-go, he knew what he was up to, and I think he beautifully doctored that chase. For Pakistan, I think if Azam had even scored 20, instead of 25 or 24, if he'd even scored 35 or 24, the game would have looked so different. And that's where we will get to the memes as well.
Absolutely. And the Nizam mode has already gotten activated. Moving on to the next story, Perry Garth in injury blow as Australia scramble before India ODIs. Australia have been dealt a significant setback ahead of the ODI series against world champions India, with Ellyse Perry and pace bowler Kim Garth ruled out of all 3 matches due to quad strains sustained during the T20I series decider in Adelaide. Both now face a race against time to recover for the one-off test in Perth starting on March 6, with Cricket Australia confirming their availability will depend on rehabilitation progress following the ODI leg. There were swift changes to the squad as Megan Shute, originally omitted from the T20Is, made an instant impact in Brisbane by dismissing India opener Pratika Rawal with the second ball of the match. 19-year-old Lucy Hamilton earned a call-up despite being uncapped internationally, while Georgia Wall slotted in at number 3 after Perry's withdrawal. Alana King and Talia McGrath also returned, and captain Alyssa Healy began a farewell tour at the top of the order, handing wicket-keeping duties to Beth Mooney, with Sophie Molino named vice captain.
Wicket keeping beauty or keeping duty? I don't know what you said there. I missed that. But
Was it
yeah, like, I think.
something that you heard deliberately?
I mean, what can you say except Ellyse Perry in the recent past has had her fair share of issues with
A
injuries.
lot of injuries, yeah.
I mean, she's more or less almost stopped bowling as well. So, and it's about time, right? It's not that she is on the right side of the 30s either. She's she's coming to the fag end of her career. But something that Australia can take heart from is that they anyways have so many people who can replace her. Annabelle Sutherland in the squad is like for like. She's also from Victoria. She also bowls medium pace, can also bat really well. We saw that in the World Cup too. So I don't think Australia will be too worried, except for the fact that when they're going into that solitary test match, as it is, test matches are very rare, and India Australia as a test match rivalry is also something worth thinking about, because the last time Australia were over in India, it was India who routed them. And so Australia will want to settle that score, and for that they will want someone like Ellyse Perry back. Now, apart from that, I don't think there's too much more to add. Alana King, Talia McGrath, they're all experienced people. Everyone knows how to get their job done.
Yeah, that's true. The Australian team has so much depth. It's one could easily be injured and one could easily be replaced. Of course, as Alyssa Perry comes with a lot of experience and she's played so much cricket. That being said, they always have a replacement. The fact that 11 players out of 11 can bat, and you're always scared of how many runs these 11 batters can score, or these 11 players, except for Alyssa Healy, everyone could even take wickets at one point, and even Beth Mooney maybe. But even give her the ball, I'm sure she would take a wicket. It's that much. The depth is what Australia has. But yeah, in the test, it'll be interesting in the one-off test match who makes a comeback and who makes the squad, because it will be a historic test match. It will be that one test match, and hopefully for Alyssa Healy's sake, she gets that one test century that's missing from all her accolades that she has.
That's perfectly timed. And that's something that the anchors do as well. Now, the conversations year round would be about how the anchors are no longer relevant in T20Is. And then once the World Cup arrives, the conversation shifts to a very different sounding narrative.
Yeah, I mean, this is something worth thinking about, right? Because all the bilaterals that we play, they are mostly run fests.
Yeah.
You have, especially with, if you take India's example for that matter, coming to the World Cup, they were scoring 200 almost every single game. And things like an anchor or someone who can just hold the innings together in the middle, they kind of go unhighlighted because of how easy or straightforward the pitches are to bat on. Now, I'm not saying that the pitches shouldn't be of the manner of what they are in the World Cup. I think it's brilliant for cricket.
True.
In terms of there being a balance between bat and ball. But
True.
it's very funny how coming into this World Cup, everyone was about India scoring 300. And now it's just about our top three batters together being able to get to 300 runs in the tournament. And this is where the anchor conversation starts, right? Babar Azam is on the other end of the anchor conversation, where
True.
he's too anchory.
And then you have Tilak Verma.
You have Tilak Verma, who we've actually made a video on that you can check out on the other channel. But yeah, you want to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, interestingly, leading up to the World Cup, since 2025, India had a run rate of almost 10 runs per over as a team. But if you look at in this World Cup, and if you look at players playing in India, a lot of nations who were playing in India last year against India, their numbers have only improved. Of course, they're not playing against India consistently in the World Cup, so they're playing against other teams as well. But their run rate has only improved in India, except India is the only country where their run rate has only decreased in India. So that says something about the pitches and something about how the Indian batters are either out of form or haven't been able to adapt. And you also have Tilak Verma in this conversation about how he's been an anchor. The problem is you have Tilak Verma and then you have Suryakumar Yadav, and for whatever reason, even he's tended to start slowly before taking off. And so you basically have two almost anchors. Except Suryakumar Yadav is able to take off. He has scored some runs. Tilak Verma takes his time, doesn't strike big, and then gets out. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? Because if you even pick up his scores, it's not like he hasn't scored runs. He's got like 25s or 30s, but he's taken a lot of time. And then from there, the difference between something like what Kohli was doing all these years was that after getting to that 25 of 25, he was able to take off. He was able to take games deep. And in essence, he was just able to bat India into knockout stages in every single T20 World Cup, except the last. But there he stepped up in the final when it mattered the most. So that's basically what the anchor conversation is. And it's kind of funny how all year round, all season round, we think that, okay, we have done away with the anchors, but ultimately we have to come back to some player who can actually hold the innings together.
And that's exactly what we're going to talk about for tonight, which is an interesting fixture, and that is
Sri Lanka versus New Zealand.
Megha, do you have anything to say? Maybe not a prediction. I'm not going to put you on spot, but do you have anything to say about this game? Anything that excites you? Anything to look forward to? Anything at all?
Well, particularly in the group stages, how Sri Lankan batters stepped up, and it was different batters stepping up at different junctures. How, despite all the injury setbacks, the bowling unit has, like Velalage in particular, has been extremely impressive. It does make for an interesting clash, and both the teams are in a bit of a spot at the moment. New Zealand could just get that 1 point out of the opening fixture. Sri Lanka beaten comprehensively. Net run rate as well is not really great. We've heard that Colombo might host the semi-finals if Sri Lanka make it. So a lot on stake for both the sides. By the way, you very conveniently missed mentioning that my prediction did come true.
Oh yeah, that is true. It's a
Congratulations.
one-odd prediction that comes out true, so we have to mention it. So we apologize for not mentioning it. This is exactly why you should show up tomorrow at 8 a.m. to know what happened between India and Sri Lanka, New Zealand and Sri Lanka, and a lot more in the cricketing world. If you've enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let us to 200 subscribers. See you guys tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Peace.